Welcome. Today, we're going to delve into an important subject. And before we start, I just want to make a few quick announcements. We're in July. Today is July 3rd, Friday. It's a holiday weekend. I hope you're enjoying your summer. I know I am. It's one of my favorite times of the year. And next month, for those of you who've been interested in doing a class or just knowing when I'll have my next class will be next month. However, it will be in Toronto. So if you're in that area, you're close to that area, would definitely encourage you to check it out. It should be a great weekend. I'll be doing classes all weekend. So you can check my Facebook page for details, and hope to see you there if you're in the area, or even if you're not in the area. You know, Toronto out here is a great place in the summer. I've never been, but I'm looking forward to it. Later in August, last week in August, in fact, we'll be in Richmond, Virginia, for Happily Natural Day. I was there last year and it was great. This year, headlining is a good friend of mine, Yasir Rahotep, for the Yoga Skills Comedic Yoga. So I'm sure he'll be lecturing, and he's a great speaker, great. He knows what he's talking about. He has some great. He's done a lot of research, and he will probably be doing some yoga classes too. So you get to get his comedic yoga flavor if you're in that area. And I'll be probably doing a workshop there as well as vending during that weekend. So that's August. September, I'm going to be at a number of street festivals in September, but what I'm most excited about in September is we're having a Raffle Festival right here in DC. I don't know right off the top of my head what weekend that is. It's in the latter part of September, I know. But you definitely want to come check that out. Come network. Come meet, just the raw food scene. Come get inspired, get educated, get fed. Definitely don't want to miss that. So that'll be happening here in Washington, D.C. And again, check my Facebook for more details. In November, I'll be participating in a health retreat. There's actually 2 retreats happening, and they're actually organized by the same people. I'll be participating in the second retreat. So definitely consider. I've never been to St. Lucia as well. I'm sure it's beautiful, and I'm sure the retreat will be a blast. So if you're thinking about it, you're on the fence, definitely, definitely come through. Okay, so that pretty much rounds out my year. For those of you who are interested in just anything else that I'm doing, whether it's at my shop or, my book, I don't have a copy of it to flash for the camera, but Paradise Health, you can find that on my website. And then I have the Paradise Health 6 DVD course. If you want to learn something about, I actually demonstrate the recipes that I perform on the DVD. So again, you can check that from my website as well. Okay, so yes, so today I want to talk about stress. And let me start by posing a question. Is stress good for you? I mean, because in our society, in our culture, we when we mention stress, it is almost always 99.9% of the time used in a negative connotation. I'm stressed out. It's stressful. I've been under a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. So stress has become almost like a curse word in terms of, you know, considering what it means for our health and well-being. Now, that may be very well accurate. However, well, if we look at stress in the totality of what stress is and what stress is all about, I want to present to you today a different perspective and something that I hope will give you some deeper insight into just not just health, but life. Because really, for just living, in order for us to grow and evolve and develop, we need stress. Whether it's voluntary or involuntary. So let's delve into that for a second. Generally, when stress is good, we don't even call it stress. We call it something else, like working out or studying, or things that sound productive or that are productive sounding. And those are what I call voluntary stressors. So basically, that's stress on our terms. However, involuntary stress is what we don't like. Those are the stressors that we don't see coming or that we're not prepared for. And those are the things that really are truly defining. Now, we can define ourselves from voluntary stress, from working out and studying and following a proper diet or a proper regimen that creates the positive stress that we're looking for, the goal, or the outcome from the conditions that create the stress that we're looking for. However, I guess the point I'm really trying to make to you today is that it's really all about how we face the involuntary stress that I feel that really makes a difference. See, as long as we're in control and we're the creators of the stress, then it's all good. But I'm here to tell you today that it's the involuntary stress that is not only just as important, but probably paramount or of paramount importance to us in our lives, especially when it comes to relationships or it comes to finances. These are obviously very, things. These are probably the two most common things that most of us are very passionate about. So when stress happens, especially involuntary, whether it's a failed relationship for whatever reason, or a failed business venture, or something that went wrong. These are usually defining moments. These are opportunities. These moments of stress that where we come to find out what we're all about. So, is that bad? Of course not. Yeah, it may hurt. It may sting on certain levels, but these are the things that make us, that define us. How does this relate to our health. Well, it has everything to do with our health. Our state of mind, our level of peace, our even our diet. Is connected to our stress levels, or how we're able to handle stress, or how much stress we can put ourselves under. If we're eating largely a clean or raw food diet, or a high raw food diet, or a high fresh food diet, we're able to take on more stress. Why is that possible? Well, if I was to give you an example, if you're eating more fresh food, you're eating more water. Your digestion doesn't have to work as hard, so your body has more energy. It has the capacity to heal faster if you work out, for example, so you can work out more. So in the same sense, when involuntary stressors take place, aka, or we can also say life happening with stress, then we're better able to deal with whether it's emotional, physical, or spiritual. So, we want to get to the level where we don't necessarily welcome the involuntary stressors, but when they do occur, and they will occur, just by living, that's just part of life, and part of what we're all signed up for, living this life. We can welcome it in a sense where we understand that these involuntary stressors are needed in order to move me in a certain direction that I need to go. I mean, those of you that are old enough and have the life experience that not even I had, but I'm sure that is unique to you, understand that when you start to look at the roadmap of your life, I'm sure a lot of the decisions or non-decisions, or where you may be or who you may be with, is a result of stress, more than likely involuntary stress, that was put into your life that allowed you to be where you're at today. So, I'm here to say that, when we look at stress, we should look at it for what it is, completely. And we shouldn't necessarily be so quick to put so much negativity on that word. Because again, a big part of a healthy body is a healthy mind. And of course, a healthy body, healthy mind is a healthy spirit. So our spirit has to be one where, we're looking at life for what it is, being that, okay, when we want to grow and develop, we understand that we put voluntary stress. But when involuntary stress happens, we also welcome that and try to gain perspective on where is this involuntary stress moving me to. Again, whether it's failed relationship, a failed financial venture, and how is that shaping me, molding me? We look at a diamond. A diamond is formed under tremendous amounts of stress. So we should keep that in mind. I feel like that's a great analogy. are you meant to be a diamond in this life? And if we are to become diamonds, then we need stress. We should almost welcome it. This summer, I've started bike riding again, and those of you familiar with bikes, I have a fixed gear. So the fixed gear is very difficult, or it can be pretty difficult to ride. And actually, the most difficult part of a fixed gear is actually when you're going downhill. So when you're going downhill, I mean, we all know that gravity is on our side, and it's actually creating a momentum so that we can go fast. We don't even actually have to pedal. But with a fixed gear, as long as the bike is moving, you actually have to be pedaling with that bike. So when you're going downhill, or even you're going down an incline, you actually got to be working against, or even, as the pedals are moving this way, you have to be moving this way in order to maintain control. Because if you're going faster and faster and you go to an intersection, obviously you don't want to slam into a car or another bike, or just a pedestrian bystander. So it's always there's stress. There's no coasting, which means that you're always applying stress, especially going downhill. So this is good. And what people say with a fixed gear, oh, it's more of a workout. Yes. So stress is a good thing. And lastly, what I'll say in terms of stress is I always have to connect this with food. So just in terms of food and diet and lifestyle, one of the things that people say with raw food is that, it's difficult to digest. And while that may have some accuracy to it, that's not necessarily something that has to be a terminal life sentence. It's the same thing with nuts. Nuts are very concentrated foods that some people have sensitivity to. Again, it's something that doesn't have to be terminal. I've worked with people who've had nut sensitivities and helped them get through it, where they can now eat and digest nuts where they couldn't before. So it's just about creating or allowing your body to withstand the stress that is created by either certain foods or certain conditions based on certain foods you've been eating. So when we look at detoxification as an example, detoxification actually creates, it allows the body by actually not by putting in minimal amounts of food or lots of liquid and minimal amounts of fiber, where it is creating very little stress in terms of what is put into our body. But that then entails that stress is created from the body trying to remove toxins from the body, usually via the blood. So what may result is a headache or nausea or fatigue or even vomiting, diarrhea. These are things that have all happened to me over the years of, juice fasting, fruit diet, water fasting. So again, stress is something that we should welcome. Pressure, life happening. These are things that are blessings, opportunities to make us into the diamonds that we're all destined to be. So thank you for listening. I hope that you got something out of it. Feel free to comment, share, like, all of that.